Jnanakandasya Jnanasalakya Shakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya-manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swatanidhyam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuttapada Kamala Sri Guru Vaisnavansya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ramnatam Vikam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana-svaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri-Sakam-Vikamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Upisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvana Sudhe Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare So yesterday we were at a place which was a little similar, although bigger, Prema Sarovara. Also a lake, some steps, the same kind of little ksatris, the little roofs for shade. Devotees are again sitting there, although not as exciting as yesterday. But good for getting your picture taken. Absolutely. And yes, this architecture is so connected to the land of Krishna. Everywhere we see the same sandstone little ksatris, we see the same carving. And of course, we know that this comes from Rajasthan, and that the kings from Rajasthan, the Jat kings, that they were developing these places that they arranged for this architecture. So, what are we looking at? Are we looking at Rajasthani architecture? Or are we looking at that actually in Rajasthan a little bit of the architecture of the spiritual world began to manifest? What is it? What is it like in Krishna's eternal worlds? Are there also ksatris, like here, little roofs for shade? Are there also ghats? Are there also steps leading in the water? And are there also platforms? We read scriptures that such things were ancient traditions. We find descriptions at the time of Dwarka, and we read about that. We read about such things. So, It's an interesting question. Does some of the culture of the spiritual world manifest here in this movement and in the Dham? We were reading about Damodar Leela, and I was reading how Mother Yasoda was wearing a vasa, a dress, and Prabhupada translated it as a sari. So was Mother Yasoda wearing a sari? It seems to be so. It seems when Prabhupada says, then it's no longer just based on what he has read, but it's also based on what he can see. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described that Krishna and the gopis were engaged in singing. And Krishna, while playing the flute, one gopi was singing, another gopi sang another melody over that in harmony. So they were singing complicated melodies like this. They were singing. And then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented and said that there are 16,108 ragas in the spiritual world which are chanted by the gopis. And these ragas, they're spiritual. So they have ragas, also vinas. Narada Muni has a vina, and Radharani, she also plays vina. She's a good vina player. As Krishna is playing the flute, Radharani plays a serious vina along with Krishna at times. At times. So, is some of the culture of the spiritual world manifesting on this planet to an extent? Prabhupada said when he saw the devotees, and devotees said, oh, just like the residents of Vaikuntha. Prabhupada said when Sanskrit is spoken, he said, Devanagari, the language of the demigods, and even in Vaikuntha, Sanskrit is spoken, Prabhupada would say. India is such a mystical place, in many ways, because this is the land where the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears. Don't have that in other places. I went to this island Mauritius in the middle of the ocean, and there in that place, they have a place called Gangatala. And you know, when it is Shivratri, 75% of the island is carrying water from that Gangatala to the other side of the island, and they have these pots, they carry like a bowl, and they carry it on a bowl. In India you can also see around Shivratri how people carry the water like that. In Mauritius, it's bigger than in India. Bigger. Everyone is doing it. Everyone. 1/3 of the island. Sorry, 3/3. What's it? 3/4. 75%. 3/4 of the island is partaking. Big thing, Gangatala. So, do they have Ganga there? They brought some Ganga Jal from India, and they made it a Sarovara, a kunj, exactly proper, and then they ceremonially poured in some Ganga Jal, and then they had Ganga. But in India, Ganga is actually there, and Ganga, as we read in Bhagavatam, is coming into the universe at the time that Lord Vamana is taking his 3 steps to cover the whole universe, and in 2 steps he cracks the shell of the Ganga. Not at the shell of the universe, thank you. I saw you making faces here. That's good, so, yeah. Good, thanks for the face. Good face. I'm speaking and Dantadiko. Thanks, I was sleeping. I'm a little tired today. Yeah, so he cracked the shell of the universe, and some water from the causal ocean came through. And then that water is carried by the demigods in kumbhas, because the demigods, they know that Ganga Jal is special mercy, and they want to carry it down. They don't just think, let us take bath in this water. Because they don't just think of themselves, they think, let us be part of distributing it. Because if we're part of distributing it, we're getting more mercy. Therefore they catch it and carry it on their heads. So, India is in this way such a mystical place, right? That it has these transcendental things. It has a river which has a transcendental origin. Now, some might say this mythology, that they may say, but scripture is pointing it out. That is unique. There is no such place. No such place with that double dimension. That spiritual dimension which is so many holy rivers. And it is said that actually in this Prema Sarovara all the holy rivers are present. They're all manifest here. There is some story that they all came here on a pilgrimage to this place. This place came about because of viraha, because of separation. In the philosophy presented by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this viraha bhav, this mood of separation is listed as being topmost, the topmost state of love of God. It is a bit of a mystery. It is difficult to understand because in our world separation is no fun. So how can that be the best? Some people are homesick right now. They're thinking, oh, was Vrindavan so austere at home. And some people are in separation from someone or something, someplace. But how is separation the highest? In relation to Krishna, it is said when we feel separation from Krishna, this is supposed to be the highest experience. How? How? Is separation fun? Is it ecstasy? So it's difficult to sort of capture. It is explained that the one reason why these feelings of separation are the highest is because as soon as one is separated from Krishna, one begins to remember Krishna. And when we remember Krishna, it's not the same as remembering an ordinary mundane thing. When we are remembering mundane things, then we are separated, just like it is explained about the holy name. If you chant the name of Krishna, Krishna is there. If you chant the name of water, water is not there. There's a distinction. So, as soon as the same is when we remember Krishna, Krishna is manifest immediately in that remembrance. And the result is that one becomes ecstatic. So separation on the spiritual platform immediately leads to remembrance and immediately leads to ecstasy. Therefore, this separation is actually a cause of great ecstasy. Alright. Yeah. Isn't it? That makes sense. Yeah. So it's difficult. It's intellectually maybe we can understand, but emotionally it still doesn't feel like the highest. When there's meeting of Radha and Krishna, that seems to be the highest. So here in this location there was a meeting of Radha and Krishna. And that meeting, when they saw each other, naturally they felt overwhelmed by emotion. Then there was a bumblebee. And this bumblebee, a Brahmara, and this bumblebee, when the bumblebee saw Radha and Krishna, then the bumblebee thought, oh, the divine couple, this is the chance of my life. Let me do the Parikrama. So, the bumblebee went around 3 times. So Radharani felt a little bit uncomfortable and tried with her claws to chase that bumblebee away, but the bumblebee was very eager for the nectar, so not so easily sent away. So Madhu Mangal came to help and brought a stick and started to wave it in a very, very intense way that the bumblebee decided, okay, time to retreat. So that bumblebee was flying away and with Madhu Mangal on its heels, waving the stick and chasing. And then finally Madhu Mangal returned like a great hero and said, "This Madhusudan is gone." Now the Sanskrit is a language which is open to various interpretations. So the word Madhusudan can refer to Krishna, who is the killer of the Madhu demon. But Madhusudan can also mean the killer bee. Madhu means bee and Sudan means killer. So the killer bee. So I got rid of this killer bee. I got rid of this Madhusudan. Immediately, Radharani went into a great state of shock that Madhu Mangal got rid of Madhusudan, of Krishna. And tears started flowing from her eyes, so many, a stream of tears that she couldn't see anymore. So she didn't see Krishna, although he was standing in front of her. And then, as Krishna saw that she was crying, that broke his heart, and then he also started to cry. So from his eyes also streams of tears. So they both cried streams of tears, and that formed the water of this kund. So in this way, therefore Prema Sarovara is a great and holy place, and it is said that therefore once the various personalities of holy waters came here on a pilgrimage to this water to get purified. So all the pure waters came here to get purified. So in this way, they're also present. So meanwhile, what about the bumblebee? The bumblebee was also very ecstatic. So the bumblebee went back to all the other bees and told the bees what it had seen. It said, "Oh, I had such a darshan, it was amazing, no really, wow, yes." And then I looked straight at them, right from the front, and it was just, I said, you cannot imagine the effulgence and the happiness. It was, in this way the bumblebee was describing. And all the bees were buzzing and buzzing in ecstasy when they heard this. After all, it's not only human beings that accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord. It is also the bumblebees are also accepting Krishna as the Supreme Lord. The bees are considering Krishna like the bee god. After all, he has a yellow dhoti just like them, and a blackish body just like them, and he's into music just like them. See, in this way they worship Krishna as the bee god. So this is our Krishna, who is the Lord, the Supreme Lord, the Lord of all living entities, not just the Lord of all human beings. Suridam sarvadehinam. He is the loving, well-wishing friend. Surit means like a friend, heartfelt, a bosom friend, right? From Surit, from the heart. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. He is the well-wishing friend of all living beings. That is our Krishna. So we are looking at Krishna, who is an ocean of kindness, who is so much inclined to be merciful towards all, who never forgets anyone, who is always remembering every single living being. He's always thinking of every living being. We may forget Krishna, but he never forgets us. Not for a moment. And Krishna is always thinking, how can I bring these conditioned souls back? Of course, how we got here in the first place. We don't have to worry about it. Just like now we're at Prema Sarovara, and we are here. We came on the bus, and somehow or other everyone had a seat on the bus, or I hope so. If you didn't have a seat on the bus, too bad. Bad luck, must be bad karma. Somebody has to have bad karma, you know, that's the way it is. So, what to do? If you were not in the best bus, well, what to do? You know, not everyone is on the best planet either. Not everyone has the best conditions in life. What to do? This is our karma. So if we came on the bus, we can talk about that while we are at Prema Sarovara, but we would be wasting our time if we talk a long time about the bus. Imagine I would have given a whole talk about the bus. Yeah. You say like, you know, what's that, you know? We didn't come to this place to talk about the bus. No. So let's not talk about the bus. Let's just talk about Prema Sarovara and how we came here. And how, like I said yesterday and the days before, how there's a distance between the spiritual reality and our reality, and how we try to bridge that gap somehow or other by our chanting, by our kata, by our association. Let us focus on that here, because it doesn't matter how we got here, we are now having the opportunity of devotional service. So let us take advantage of devotional service and use every minute. That is the more interesting question. Other things, yeah, sometimes we can talk about the bus. Or sometimes we can talk how the jiva came, what is the origin of the jiva, but not today. Because today we're going to speak about ecstatic things and not about such dry topics like the bus or the means of transport. How we arrived here. Not interested. How we arrived here. Somehow or other we're here in this anadi bahyamukha, in this bahyamukha, in this external energy since time immemorial. Now, let us take advantage to focus on Krishna. Let us take advantage to make a relationship. So Krishna is Surit, he is our dearmost friend. Prabhupada said, Krishna is your best friend. And the devotee said, no Prabhupada, you are our best friend. And Prabhupada said, no, Krishna is your best friend. The devotee said again, no Prabhupada, we don't know Krishna. We don't know Krishna, we know only you. You are best friend. Prabhupada said, no, Krishna is your best friend. He said and then he explained, he said, because Krishna is omniscient. He knows everything. He said, me, I'm not omniscient, so I may disappoint you. But Krishna, he will never disappoint you. Because he's omniscient. He knows the deepest desire in your heart. He knows everything. Krishna will never disappoint you. He is your best friend. Suridam Sarvadevi. So here in this place, I'd like to take that meditation with us, how Krishna is our best friend, and that it's not like, that Krishna is not so far away. Even here, now in the material world, Krishna is very present. Sorry, one moment. My phone vibrates. Not good. Got to turn it off. So Krishna is our best friend, and therefore he is very close to us. He's very accessible. He's not far away at all. Once I was preparing a seminar on prayer and I was researching things on the internet about prayer, and I came to a website of prayer dedicated to Saint Anthony, and there were lots of prayers. And so I read all the prayers on there, and many of the prayers were just, "Oh dear Saint Anthony, la-di-da-di-da, please help me to pass my exam. Oh dear Saint Anthony, my auntie, has a problem with her knee. Could you please fix auntie's knee?" Then there were lots of prayers that were materialistic. Then I saw one prayer of a mother, and the mother said that, "Oh dear Saint Anthony, my daughter is only 3 years old, but somehow or other she has kidney failure, and she has to be on this machine now. Oh dear Saint Anthony, please transfer this to me, and please save my daughter from this suffering." That was more deep, right? That was like intense prayers. So I looked at these prayers and I saw different levels of prayer. Then there was one prayer on that side, and that prayer said, "Whenever I pray, I feel how far away I am from God." I was thinking, that's not us. That's not our movement. We're not thinking like that, how far away we are, how close we are. We're very close. Whenever we pray, we feel how close we are to Krishna. When we chant, we feel how close we are to Krishna. That's our meditation. Our meditation is not so far from Krishna. Our meditation, we're actually quite close. We're close to Krishna. He's here, very much with us right now. It's not He has left us alone for us here to pray and chant and somehow or other get purified until we're qualified, and then... No. He has not left us alone. He is Surit. He is our dearmost friend. Very much so. And I personally think that is very important meditation, because how else can you develop love? See? It must begin like that, by feeling closeness, by feeling that Krishna cares about us. That Krishna is very kind, that He is available, that He's with us. He cares about our ordeal, although it is insignificant. Just as a child, children make a big thing about nothing. Right? Lots of noise about a toy they can't find, or some other kid plays with their toy. It's such a drama. A storm in a glass of water. So in one sense, all our dramas are storms in a glass of water. We get so worked up about so many things, and from Krishna's perspective, this is child's play. Like for example, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is said that Jagai Madai. And Madai was the one who hit Lord Nityananda with the pot. Right? And then he wanted to hit him for a second time. And then Jagai said, "No, stop." Right? Anyway, so Jagai got the mercy first from Lord Chaitanya, and Madai didn't get it from Lord Chaitanya, but then he got it from Nityananda, who forgave him. But after that, even after Nityananda forgave Madai, Madai could not forgive himself. Yeah? So Madai came back to Nityananda and said, "I cannot forgive myself. What will I do now?" Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Lord Nityananda instructed him and said, make a ghat, and serve all the pilgrims who come to take bath in the Ganga. So Madai could not forgive himself, still felt very contaminated. So we may get the mercy of the Lord But even then, we have to also come to the point where we can appreciate. So now we have this opportunity to bridge this gap, and we have to understand that even if we cannot forgive ourselves, that the Lord will still forgive us. So then Madai said to Lord Nityananda, I cannot forgive myself. I cannot. I've tried, but I cannot. Nityananda said, my dear Madai, listen. Said, like, from my perspective, you are just like a child. You're just like a child. So then when a child hits its parents, they don't take that very serious. Children do such things sometimes. Of course, you may stop them, but it's not like, oh, now I'll never forgive you for that. It's just the way children are. So in this way, Lord Nityananda said, you're just like a child. So in one sense, our concerns are childish. We are worried about so many things, and from Krishna's perspective, the bigger picture, who looks at eternity, who looks at our eternal relationship with the absolute truth, who looks at our eternal service, our petty thoughts, are so insignificant from Krishna's perspective. And still he cares. Just as, and we are worried, this one said that to me and I'm really upset about it. How could they do this? How could they not care? And for 3 days already I haven't eaten because they mistreated me in such a way. How could they do this? And Krishna, and of course this is childish, but Krishna still takes it serious. He still cares, as we care. Because we understand that although when a child gets upset, the object, what the child gets upset about, is usually insignificant. A toy. I lost my little golden jaguar toy in the sand pit. This is one of the most frustrating experiences of my childhood. It was a golden jaguar, really gold. I lost it in the sand pit. I dug up the whole sand pit. Everything. I dug it up, everything, and I didn't find it. So, what to do? My golden jaguar. And so it was just a toy. It was just a toy. But I lost it, and it was a great drama. Now that I'm remembering childhood dramas, there was another drama. I'll tell you this one too, but this is even more dramatic. Listen to this. One day, I must have been 5, something like that. My mother comes and she says, today a child is coming to our house, and this child, with its mother, this child has no arms and legs. And I go, oh no, oh my God, a child, no arms, no legs, to our house, right? I mean, that's something, really. Even for an adult it would be something. What if you're 5-year-old? So you can understand, that was quite something. So I was like, oh my God. And then they brought the child, and yes, it was true. No arms and no legs. And oh, what a sad thing, poor child. So I wanted to give this child something, so I gave my favorite little toy animal, it wasn't a teddy bear, it was a teddy dog. I gave my teddy dog to the child, and then the child went with my teddy dog, and I tell you, the pain I felt that night, the pain of renunciation was just too much, I cried so deep in the night for my lost teddy dog, you know. Of course, very childish sentiment. But whatever it was, the object of my sentiment was childish and insignificant. But the experience was not insignificant because I'd invested all my emotions there. And now as an adult, I've invested the same emotions in bigger things. No little gold, no little teddy dog, you know, big dog. Or disciples, you know. Maybe now I've invested all that same emotions in disciples, right? It's like that. And so the times have changed, but the emotions have not changed. It's the same emotion, but it has become directed towards a smaller thing. So in this way, we have taken the same propensity of the soul, but we have directed it to the smaller reality of this world. Now here, we're trying to break out of that. We're trying to liberate ourselves from this small-mindedness. And we're trying to appreciate that actually all these small things are not important, but that Krishna is important. And that to appreciate Krishna deeply. Who is Krishna? And that Krishna is our best friend. And Prabhupada said so, and now to let that deeply sink in, and to thoroughly appreciate that Krishna is our best friend. That is really, let us take that away from this place, and see that Krishna is so touched by Radharani and her feelings of sadness and separation, that he cries streams of tears, and see that Krishna cares even about insignificant creatures like the bees. Suridam sarvadehinam. He is the best friend of all living beings. Thank you so much. Any questions? Any comments? Please. But if you don't have any, that's no problem whatsoever, because there's a long day ahead of us. If you're scratching your head, that means something is coming. Good. All right. I'm happy. Oh, one. All right. Speak in the mic, then we can do the work.
I was thinking that, in the Bhagavatam, when Narad Muni had a darshan of Narayan, and then he said, "This is it. You're not going to go this far, more further from here.
You will not see me again this life."
Yeah.
He said.
So, how do we understand in our spiritual life? Sometimes we feel that I'm stuck here. How do we go further?
Narada was not impure. Was not pure yet. He was still impure. So he had to qualify more to see Krishna. That's true. So Narada, when he was 5 years old, his mother died, got bitten by a snake, and it was a drama. He was a 5-year-old boy alone. But he was courageous because he had received instructions of great saintly personalities. So Narada went to the forest, he sat down to meditate, as the sages had taught him. And he meditated on the Supreme Lord. And it worked. So in due course of time, Narada is seeing in his mind's eye, he's seeing the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu. He's seeing the four-armed form of Lord Vishnu while he's seated with closed eyes. Then he opens his eyes, and then he sees that the Lord is standing in front of him. Imagine, you close your eyes, you think of Krishna. Can you see him? See him? See him? See him? Then you open your eyes, and then he's really standing there. How would you feel? So Narada was sort of like really elated, right? I mean, totally beyond himself. He sees the Lord in front of him. And then the Lord disappeared. Sai is only 5 years old. That was just too intense. So then he just lost it. He just went mad. And it's like, and he became angry also. So then the Lord came back. The Lord came back and said, my dear Narada, calm down. Relax. Don't cry like that. My dear Narada, said, now you have to faithfully follow this process as you've heard it from the Bhakti Vedantas. And now, this life you will not see me anymore. But if you faithfully follow this process, then at the end of your life, again, we will meet. Alright. So if Krishna is our best friend and if Krishna is not far away, well, Narada had to go a whole life without Krishna. No. Not of that. He could not see Krishna, but Krishna was seeing him. Krishna was not far away. Krishna was still nearby, still very close, still taking interest in him. He didn't abandon him, he just wasn't showing himself. Same way here, we have to do something so that Krishna will show himself. Meanwhile, he's with us all the time. And we find that, more and more as we, as the time goes on. You get many things, One time, I got a hoodie. Someone gave me a hoodie, and it came from a shop somewhere outside. And on the hoodie it said BBT Sports, right? So I thought, I'll just see, this transcendental jacket has just come my way. Then I got a hat to go with it, and on the hat it said, the whole big universe, right? I said, see, preacher, Sankirtan devotee, BBT Sports, the whole big universe, right? Then within no time, I lost that hat and I lost that jacket also. And then I got a new one. And the initials on the new one were I and Q. And I knew what that means. Is not qualified. And that one, I couldn't get rid of. I tried to lose it and someone would bring it back. For years, and because I first got the one, that I was so qualified, and then after the I and Q, I always remember Krishna is telling me, is not qualified. So you may say, Swamiji, you are imagining things. And I'm saying, Prabhuji, you may say that I'm imagining things, but I can see Krishna's hand in that. And so many people have experiences how you can see Krishna's hand. You're speaking about something, you open the book and it's just about that topic. And how many times did that happen? How many times? We many times see how Krishna is manifested. Now, if some scientists walk in and say, how can you prove this? Then maybe we can't. So, but still I'm convinced that it's true. I don't care about your empiric evidence. So, the hand of Krishna we can see many times. Krishna is very close. Oh yes. You're a Sankirtan devotee, a book distributor. They say that book distributors, they meet Krishna many times on Sankirtan. Can you tell a story how you met Krishna while you were distributing books? Speak in the microphone. In it, not just at it, but in it.
I was in Sheffield.
Properly, yeah?
I was in Sheffield, and for many days, there are so many Muslims in that place. Every day someone would come and say, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. Oh my God. So one day I woke up in the morning, I had a Quran. I was like, let me read something from it. so that once they're telling me I'm going to hell, I'll tell them that who's going to hell. So I was in the street, speaking to someone. A Muslim lady with a burqa came and was standing right next to my box. I was like, no, don't tell me I'm going to hell again. I was like, give me 1 minute, I'll be with you. Then I finished my first conversation. I went to her and I was like, how can I help you? And she was like, why your God is blue? I was like, because he is God, he can do whatever he wants. I was thinking that she might just send me hell, so I was just in a different zone. She was like, fair enough. I was like, oh, she may be a different person than what I'm assuming. And I was like, and she was like, oh, and who are these people? I was like, they all are same. She was like, they all are God. I was like, yeah, it's the same person, but in a different form. And she pointed out in a yoga book, I don't know if you've seen the inner yoga. She was like, oh, but who is that? I was like, that's God. She was like, if I tell you something, would you believe that? I was like, as long as you're not telling me I'm going to hell, I'll believe it. So she was like, okay. I had a dream a few days back. And my dream, I saw a person. To begin with, I couldn't understand whether he's a man or a girl. But as I was deeply thinking what it is, I figured out it was a man. And you know what? That was his man. And I was like, oh, wow, I never had such dreams. What were you doing before that you had these dreams? She was like, I was praying. I was like, what kind of prayer? And then she starts chanting something from Arabic prayers. And I was like, oh, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Do you want to take this book? And she took the book and I was like, stay in touch. She was like, yeah, I read you into it. But I never saw her again. So I thought maybe Krishna is coming to tell, don't worry, Gora. I say it in different ways.
Thank you. Very good. You were scratching your head. I knew you would have a small question.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I have never seen any of our acharya. They are just, concentrating on the point how we came here. I have never seen any of our acharya in our parampara. Nor the Krishna told us clearly in anywhere. But Krishna said that, once you are ready, so you come back to my place and you never go back. So my question is it really worth to think, because as you mentioned about this, coming and going, how we came here, so this question came to my mind, is it really worth to think how I came here, first point?
Okay, the answer is yes. It's worth it. Of course, it's part of our philosophy. We must understand it. But so let's understand it and then get on. Not that we stay and dwell on it. It's not an object of meditation, but it is a matter of tattva. So in terms of tattva, yes, you must understand the tattva, but there's not much ras there. Yeah. So therefore, we don't spend too much time with it, because after a while it becomes very dry. If we become a specialist in the fall of the jiva, that's nice. Somebody has to be, but I hope it's not me, because it's very dry. So I don't want to be. I don't want to spend all my time collecting more and more evidence on this topic, because there's no juice there. No? But it is our duty to understand matters of tattva, and some devotees may specialize on a particular topic. They may do a lot of research on that topic. That's good. Let them do it. No? It's very hard to know everything about everything. I mean, even we see that amongst our acharyas, there's different focus. We see that Baladev Vichibhusan is studying tattva. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was a little bit more into lila, pastimes, exchanges, and these things. different moods are there. But in terms, we should all have some philosophical understanding about the matter. But I'm not going to discuss it today. No way. I follow the chief. No thanks. Not in Prema Sarovara. So sorry. Yeah. It's a good question. I can't.
Maybe if I'm missing maybe some points I should
No,
mistake.
it's good. It's good. It's a good question. And we should know the touch. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. There's a chapter. This chapter. Bhagavatam. Title of the chapter. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. I heard some voice. Yes. Okay, if you have a loud voice,
I do have a loud voice.
Huh?
I do have a loud voice.
Then the microphone will come.
Okay, thank you very much. I was very interested about what you said about the attachment to the petty things, which...
My teddy dog.
Yeah, but the emotions are not petty.
Correct.
Yes, and the thing is, sometimes I find myself, and luckily the petty things are becoming, I'm not attached to my, but there are other things that I can see that are attachments and they hurt. And then at that time, I find it really difficult to see Krishna. So I want to see Krishna at that time, because not only do I want to see Krishna, but I really do need to see Krishna. And I get extra frustrated because I am in a place of complete desolation, I suppose. So I just wonder whether you feel like it's helpful to do some introspective work before.
Okay, yes. Introspection is good. Introspection to the scriptures, that we see ourselves in our relationship with Krishna. The more we recognize our relationship with Krishna at times when the emotions are cool, right? The more that will be there when the emotions are in turmoil. Obviously, the more we have chanted, the more we are really absorbed in the Bhagavatam, the more these things will be with us at that time when we are like, going through a lot of turbulence. So, absolutely, at the time when one is emotionally disturbed, it's very difficult to cultivate Krishna consciousness. You can't. If someone comes and says, think of Krishna, and say, go away, leave me alone. I'm like, I'm going through a thing right now. I really can't handle this. Yeah. I mean, the last thing I can handle is someone standing next to me and lecturing me. Krishna. I mean, leave me alone. Right? Can't you see I'm going through and suffering? So it's the times when we are cool that we're cultivating. It's just like here now. This is not just, okay, we've come to Vrindavan, and what are we going to do? Sit the whole day in our room? We can't do that. So let's go somewhere to some nice places. And okay, I took you to a nice place, Prema Sarovara. Hey, nice place. Okay, it was a nice trip, nice vacation, got some nice pictures, sitting under the Ecstatic tree, click. Yeah, wow, that's a good, maybe that's a nice Facebook profile picture, right? Like this. But that's not all it is. There's a lot more. We're developing a relationship here with Prema Sarovara, with Krishna, and that you bring with you. So the more we develop this relationship through the Dham, through the books, through the holy name, to devotional service, the more all these emotions that are negative emotions, when they come, well, then we have something with us, that will pull us through. So then it gets better. Yeah. It's good. I didn't hear the start.
Thank you for this morning's talk, class, and for every other classes that you've done, and I really appreciate all the time that you're investing in us. Today, I got a feeling that is bhakti beyond emotions? And if so, do we need to control our emotionality, if that's the word?
Mm-hmm. Bhakti the word bhakti can be translated into devotion, devotional service. Bhaj is the root form of bhakti, Bhaj, dhatu, and Bhaj dhatu includes love, includes service, and includes worship. It's a little hard to pinpoint one word on the Bhaj, but it includes love, service, worship in this Bhaj dhatu. So bhakti includes all these things. So it's not that bhakti is beyond emotions, the very essence of bhakti is emotions. When we speak about ras, it is about emotions. But there's one thing. While we are in this material world, we become conditioned by the material world, and we have higher and lower nature. There are two sides in our nature. And the lower nature has become attached to things of temporary, small significance. Like the child, I said the child, my teddy dog. That was too, I got over it now. Because I grew up, I grew up, so I got over it. But when I was 5, that was tough. That was a tough moment. So, we're too much affected by the temporary, our emotions. Emotions that are affected by the temporary are not really to be given too much importance. It is the emotions have to be awakened towards the eternal. And as we're advancing, we are awakening our emotions towards the eternal, towards Krishna. Then these emotions become favorable. But if our emotions are connected to temporary things, then these emotions will just bind us in these temporary things. And then, because it's temporary, it will leave us broken-hearted. For some time in Mayapur, I lived in a smaller room and I was quite happy. Then they arranged that I had to stay for some time somewhere else, and I got a big fancy room. And after that I had to move again to a smaller room. When I first lived in the small room, I was quite happy. But after I'd lived in the big room, then I didn't like the small room anymore. So we get attached to the temporary things, but it was temporary. It didn't make sense to get attached to that big room, because I knew it was going to be taken away. So you're from the UK, they go, Britannia. What's the point? Right? Because it's a temporary relationship. But when we are here, Om Prema Sarovara, now we're connecting to the eternal, to the Dham. The Dham is remaining, even after the whole world is destroyed. Even when England will be no more. Even when Brazil will be gone. Even when Holland, even when Holland will be underwater and who knows what. This place will still be here. After the dissolution of the universe. This place, not exactly as we see it now, but in its spiritual form, it will be here. It's eternal. So let us connect our feelings to the eternal. Then these feelings will liberate us. So that's advanced, when you have feelings for Krishna. That's advanced, feelings for Krishna. After all that, maybe you should have some breakfast to get back to, something practical and down to earth. So let's spread out a little and then sit wherever you like in a comfortable way, have your breakfast, and then we'll go on to the next destination.